Hi, I'm Camilla, founder of BiohackMe, on a mission to help people supercharge their lives one biohack at a time. I'm super passionate about preventative and personalized health and using data and measurements to work out what your unique body needs to thrive and optimize your health. The biohacking industry is booming globally and has been for many, many years. I'm sure you will have heard of people like Brian Johnson and maybe watched his Netflix doco, Don't Die. Well, he's one of the extreme biohackers. Even though he's doing what we never thought was possible and pushing the realms of longevity, I'm here to bring you the everyday biohacking basics that anyone can do to optimize their health. WTF is biohacking, you ask? I am sure you want to know. Well, Dave Asprey is the father of biohacking and he came up with this term. He likes to call it the art and science of becoming superhuman, which is an incredible mission, but I'm not sure how many of us are going to really get there. For me, biohacking is simply about taking control of your health and well-being. It's about optimizing your health so that you can live well for longer. It's about prevention of chronic disease. What can we do to stay out of retirement homes and out of hospitals? It's about our habits becoming our lifestyle. It's also about working smarter, not harder. We all want the hacks, right? So we can do things quicker and feel better. And the byproduct of all the wonderful biohacking I've done over the years to help me heal from mold poisoning is that I've reversed my biological age. So my chronological age is 48, but my biological age is 38. So this is fantastic. It means I've got an extra 10 years to keep living on this planet, and I'm planning to try and reverse that even more. Here is my biohacking basics framework. These are the foundations that you need to do to start biohacking. Once you get these right, then you can start layering in more sophisticated biohacks. But for now, these are the basics. So number one is sleep. Sleep is the holy grail. It's the absolute foundation. We've got to make sure that we're prioritizing sleep. This is when our body does all the wonderful healing and resetting and our cells get a chance to renew. Number two is nutrition. We are what we eat. Literally everything we consume is doing something to our body. So really important about the quality. I talk about being a qualitarian. The quality of the food that we eat and what we consume is important. Something else in my biohacking basics is recovery. Most of us are running around like elite athletes all day and we're not taking time to rest and recover. Our recovery is so important. How are we layering that into our week and how are we layering that into our weekends to make sure that we're resting and recharging and recovering? So what is a biohacker's mindset? I've talked about the longevity mindset, and actually if we have a longevity mindset, we can gain 7.5 years in our life. So studies have been done that show people that move away from this FOGO, this fear of growing old, and we move to what I like to call JOGO, which is the joy of growing old. We have a pro-aging mindset rather than an anti-aging mindset. We don't have to grow old in a bad way. We can grow old and thrive. And what's important as this mindset for biohackers is that we're curious and we're open to new things. We like to take full responsibility for our health and happiness. No one else can look after our bodies but ourselves. It's really important to take responsibility. So we really do have the power. We don't have to be predisposed to chronic illness. We can make a difference, and that's where epigenetics come into play. Bio-individuality is also so important when we're talking about biohacking. What works for me might not necessarily work for you. So it's really important we honor our uniqueness and our individuality. A hot topic at the moment that you will have heard about in the media is about health span. We all have our lifespan, how many years we're going to live on this planet. But our health span is how many years we're going to live in good health. And it's really important that our health span equals our lifespan so that we can live our life up to our 80s, 90s, 100s, and who knows where else in good health. So what are you doing now that's going to determine how you show up in your 70s, 80s, and 90s? That's really important. Say hello to your mitochondria. I want to talk to you about some of the hallmarks of aging. So our mitochondria is like our internal battery. It's a powerhouse of our cells, sometimes called the boss. And it was also the inspiration behind Star Wars for the Force, which I love. So what it's telling us is we all have the Force within us. But what we need to do is look after and protect that Force. And we need to make sure that we charge up our mitochondria. And there's some incredible biohacks that you can do to do that. Things like red light therapy is fantastic. Intermittent fasting and your diet and movement, that all helps to repair our mitochondria. One of the second hallmarks of aging is our telomeres. Now, telomeres are a bit like shoelaces. They've got those little plastic things on the end. And as we get older, they get shorter. And so what we need to do is look at how can we keep extending those telomeres? What can we do to help with longevity? Because they're a real hallmark of aging. So some amazing things we can do with telomeres is things like fasting. We can do movement. We've also got things like red light therapy, sleep. Intermittent fasting has actually been proved to extend the length of our telomeres. So again, another reason to put that into part of your biohacking practice. One of the other hallmarks of aging is our zombie cells. Well, what are they? They are our senescent cells. So as we age, again, things start happening in our body. And we start producing these zombie cells. And they start taking over other parts of our body and our cells. And we really want to be able to get rid of those cells and clean them out. And again, intermittent fasting, I sound like I'm talking about fasting all the time, but there are so many benefits to it. And that puts our body into something called autophagy, which helps to get rid of these zombie cells. So important. So as you can see, there's loads of things that we can do to help prevent some of these hallmarks of aging. This is my biohacking framework, and I've designed this with different biohacks for each of the pillars that anyone can do to help to optimize their health. And one of my favorite pillars is biohack your sleep. So this has got to be one of the most important biohacks. If you get your sleep right, everything else falls into place. I like to call it one of those anchor habits. So once you get that right, you're getting good sleep, you wake up in the morning, you've got more energy, you might feel like you want to move your body more. Because you're moving and you've got more energy and you're not tired, you make better decisions around what you're eating. So it's a really great anchor habit. And there's some awesome hacks you can do to biohack your sleep. So number one is we all need natural light. As soon as we wake up in the morning, we need at least 10 minutes of natural light. Most of us are going straight on our mobile phones and we're getting that blue light. So really important to open our blinds, open your curtains, go outside, get some natural light, and that's going to help to start your circadian rhythms. And that's your sleep to wake cycle. So from the moment we wake up, our body's trying to work out how it's going to sleep that night. So really important, natural light first thing in the morning. Reading a book has been shown to reduce stress by 68% with just 6 minutes of reading. Another biohack is to avoid stimulants before bed. So try to eat at least 2 to 3 hours before you go to sleep. This allows the body to digest food so that you can rest properly when you go to sleep. Coffee and alcohol, unfortunately, they are stimulants and they are going to disrupt your sleep. Some other things you can do to biohack your sleep is take a supplement like magnesium. And night magnesium can really help to restore the nervous system and help you sleep through the night. I also recommend a silk eye mask. It's a double whammy biohack because it helps with wrinkles and it also really helps to block out the light and give you a really good night's sleep. So one of my favorite is nasal breathing. So what I mean by that is breathing in and out through the nose only, breathing from the belly diaphragmatically. Every night before you go to bed, lie in bed, hands on your belly and breathe slowly in and out through your nose, extending your exhale when you can. This actually sends a message to the body, telling your body it's time to rest and digest. And it's safe. It's saying, I am safe. It gets you into your parasympathetic nervous system and out of all of that fight or flight, that cortisol and adrenaline that you've been running on through the day. This is an absolutely awesome hack. Hashtag honey hack. Would you believe that a spoonful of honey, and it's really important the quality of honey, it has to be raw or manuka honey, can help you sleep through the night? Well, the reason why it does that is it tricks the body. So when we're sleeping, the brain uses glycogen in our liver because our brain is still active as we sleep. And what the honey does is it tricks and mimics the glycogen. So the brain uses the honey rather than the glucose from our liver. So one thing we can do is work with our ultradian rhythms. So you've heard of your circadian rhythms, that's your sleep to wake cycle. Your ultradian rhythms is what happens during the day. And our brain works in pockets of about 90 to 120 minutes of energy. And then it needs to rest, it needs to restore. The human brain is not designed to go back to back. And many of us are in Zooms or Teams or whatever it might be, going back to back all day on screens, and the brain can't cope. And that's why you may feel like a complete zombie at the end of the day or on a Friday where I can't talk to anybody. That's because you've had too much stimulation on video. So what we need to do is take micro breaks, which I'll talk more about in a minute, but they are really, really important. So honoring our ultradian rhythms every 90 minutes, saying I'm going to take a 5 to 10 minute micro break is going to make a huge difference to your energy levels. Photosynthesize. What the hell is that? That is my plant hack. So what do plants need? They need water, they need air, and they need sunlight. And as humans, we need that too. So get outside for 5 minutes, be a plant, get a bit of vitamin D, do some breath work, drink some water, and then you will feel so much better. It's a great way to manage your energy. This is my hydration hack, and really such an important hack and a very simple one. We are actually made up of water and salt, so all the liquid inside our body is a bit like the ocean, and therefore our body needs water and salt to hydrate. If anyone's been in hospital or had an IV drip, you'll know that it's saline that they put in, and the reason why it's saline is because water and salt is how you hydrate best. So every time you fill up your water bottle, just sprinkle a little bit of Celtic sea salt into it, and that's going to help you to hydrate properly. One thing to know about fasting is when you break your fast, breakfast, break your fast, you need to have protein. A lot of us are having sweet stuff, cereals, and things that haven't got protein in, and we really do need protein. The body needs that to build hormones and build everything else and do all the wonderful work that it does. Here are some digestion hacks, some really simple things that you can do to help your body digest your food better. Activate your happy hormones. So what can we do to have more fun in our lives? We've become so serious as adults. Play is a really important part of longevity. Breathing I've talked about, but that's really important to activate that vagus nerve. Our vagus nerve runs from our brain to our gut, and it's pretty much the queen of our nervous system. And a lot of us have dysregulated nervous systems and dysregulated vagus nerves because we're running around and we're so stressed, running on adrenaline and cortisol all day. One of my favorites is hot and cold therapy. I'm a massive fan of infrared saunas. They actually put years on your life. There's been an incredible Finnish study that I'll talk about next that shows the impact of saunas on longevity. So really, if there's one thing you're going to add into your routine, get a sauna in. Cold showers are fantastic as well. Some people love an ice bath. I like to do them in the summer or jump in the ocean, which is quite similar. Or in winter, you can just jump in the ocean. There's your ice bath. But saunas and ice together is called contrast therapy, and that is absolutely brilliant to biohack your body. When we move our bodies, we produce something called a hope molecule, which is absolutely beautiful. The idea that our body actually starts producing molecules of hope that have been named by scientists when we move. There's been some incredible studies, particularly in Australia, into Parkinson's and looking at how it's reducing down symptoms of Parkinson's. And off the back of that, they also saw that it was helping to repair people's microbiomes. So it helps with our gut health. It's helping with pain. It helps to balance our hormones. And it, more importantly, helps to charge up that mitochondria. So this is almost a bit like our battery charger. So like we plug our phones in, the red light therapy is like plugging ourselves in to charge ourselves up. So I really recommend experimenting with red light therapy. So many different benefits. The vagus nerve. What can we do to activate that vagus nerve? It's so important. It's a bit like the controller of our nervous system. So when our vagus nerve isn't operating properly, this is often when we get stuck in fight or flight. We're constantly in survival. We're running on adrenaline and cortisol. And this is what leads to burnout. Massages, hugging is a great one. And hugging also helps us produce oxytocin. So we need more hugs. That's definitely a key to longevity. And one of my favorite ones is the humming bee. So we put our fingers in our ear and we hum like a bee and close our eyes. And that soothing humming noise activates the vagus nerve. Self-care and compassion. My goodness, we are so hard on ourselves as humans, and we need to be more compassionate to self and look after ourselves. And that can really help to improve our mood. Managing our stress is so important. I think stress is one of the biggest things that impacts our mood. So looking at what's within our control and what isn't within our control. Some things we actually just can't control, and we need to learn to let them go, just to let them be, because there's nothing we can do about it. And the definition of madness is trying to control stuff that we have no control over. So focus on what you can control and set those non-negotiables. So what are some of those things to protect your well-being? For an example, if a non-negotiable is sleep, what time am I going to go to bed so that I get the 7 to 8 hours that I need? Some other things to biohack your mood is nature and sunlight. Yeah, a bit of vitamin D at the right time of the day. Getting out in nature is so important. The Japanese call it forest bathing, and lots of different countries have particular nature programs. But getting out in nature, in the bush, by the ocean, it's so healing. And it was part of my healing journey many, many years ago, was using nature, and still is to this day. Social connections, so important. Community is key to longevity. When we look at the blue zones around the world, we can see that community is one of the key things. Purpose and community are the two things that really help these people to live up to 100. What brings you joy? We don't seem to have enough joy in our life, and it's a simple thing we can do is create a bit of a joy list and find those things that bring us joy, whether it's spending time with a puppy or a kitten, or watching the sunset or the sunrise, or going for a swim in the ocean, or walking, or spending time with family. Make sure every day you're doing something that brings you joy. Biohack your brain, another very important pillar in the framework. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of people are really fearing cognitive decline as they get older, but there's many things that we can do to prevent that. When it comes to our brain, we need to be constantly creating new neural pathways so that the brain keeps active and alive. We can also look at things like smart drugs and nootropics. So coffee and green tea, believe it or not, are actually nootropics, and they really do help the brain to light up. But again, with everything, it's in moderation. So what can you do to reduce your toxic load? As women, we're exposed to 168 chemicals a day. Biohacking is about showing up for yourself and taking control of your own health and well-being. And I absolutely love this quote from Greg McKeown. If you don't prioritize your life, someone or something else will. A really important quote, that we need to start looking after our body. We've only got one, and we've only got one life. So really important that we start looking at what are some of those biohacks that we can do to start optimizing our health so that we can live longer, healthier, happier lives.